2 years ago, everything changed for Alex in a single moment. One rainy Tuesday evening, he was driving home from work when a truck ran a red light. The impact sent his car spinning across the intersection. When he woke up in the hospital 3 days later, his whole world had turned upside down. The doctors told him he was lucky to be alive. But Alex didn't feel lucky. His left leg was badly damaged, and walking became a daily struggle. Simple things like climbing stairs or standing for more than a few minutes sent sharp pain shooting through his body. The worst part wasn't even the physical pain. It was watching his confidence disappear bit by bit. Before the accident, Alex had been the kind of person who loved hiking on weekends and playing basketball with friends. Now, he couldn't even walk to the mailbox without wincing. His friends tried to be supportive, but slowly the invitations stopped coming. People moved on with their lives while he felt stuck in place. Month after month of regular physical therapy sessions had helped a little, but not enough. The same exercises, the same encouraging words from therapists, the same small improvements that never seemed to add up to real change. Alex was starting to lose hope that he would ever feel normal again. On a cloudy Thursday morning in March, Alex limped into the rehabilitation center for what he expected to be another routine session. The receptionist smiled and told him there was a new therapist he would be working with today. Alex sighed quietly. He had worked with so many different therapists by now that they all seemed to blur together. When he walked into the therapy room, he saw a woman arranging some equipment he had never seen before. She looked to be in her early 30s with kind eyes and an energy that felt different from the other therapists he had met. She wasn't wearing the usual clinical uniform. Instead, she had on comfortable clothes that somehow made the sterile room feel more welcoming. "You must be Alex," she said, turning around with a warm smile. "I'm Lisa. I've been reading about your case and I think we can make some real progress together." Alex had heard similar promises before. He settled into the chair and prepared for another session of stretches and exercises that would help a little, but never quite get him where he wanted to be. But Lisa surprised him. Instead of immediately starting with physical exercises, she pulled up a chair and sat down across from him. "Tell me about your life before the accident," she said. "What did you love doing?" This wasn't the usual approach. Most therapists focused on what hurt and what needed to be fixed. Lisa seemed genuinely interested in who he was as a person. Alex found himself talking about the hiking trails he used to explore, the pickup basketball games he missed, and how he used to feel strong and capable. As he spoke, Lisa listened with complete attention. She asked follow-up questions that showed she really understood what he was going through. For the first time in months, Alex felt like someone truly heard him. "Here's what I've learned," Lisa said after he finished sharing. "Your body wants to heal completely, but sometimes our minds create barriers that hold us back. We get so focused on protecting ourselves from more pain that we accidentally prevent ourselves from getting better." She explained that she had developed some unique methods for helping people recover from trauma, both physical and emotional. Her approach wasn't just about strengthening muscles or improving flexibility. It was about helping people rediscover their confidence and reconnect with their bodies in a positive way. "Most people think healing is just about the physical part," Lisa continued. "But real recovery happens when we address the whole person, body, mind, and spirit. Sometimes that means doing things differently than what you might expect from traditional therapy." Alex was intrigued. After 2 years of slow progress, he was open to trying something new. Lisa had a way of talking that made him feel hopeful for the first time in months. During that first session, Lisa introduced him to some gentle movements he had never tried before. Instead of focusing on the areas that hurt, she helped him discover parts of his body that felt good and strong. By the end of the hour, Alex realized he hadn't thought about his pain once during the entire session. "This is just the beginning," Lisa said as they wrapped up. "Recovery is a journey and every person's path looks different, but I believe we can help you get back to feeling like yourself again, maybe even better than before." As Alex left the rehabilitation center that day, he felt something he hadn't experienced in a long time: genuine excitement about his next therapy session. Lisa had managed to plant a small seed of hope in just 1 hour together. Walking to his car, Alex noticed that his usual limp seemed less pronounced. Maybe it was his imagination, or maybe Lisa was onto something special. Either way, he was eager to find out what would happen next. That night, Alex called his brother Tom for the first time in weeks. "I met someone today who might actually be able to help me," he said. "I can't explain it, but something feels different." For the first time since the accident, Alex went to sleep feeling optimistic about tomorrow. Over the next few weeks, Alex found himself looking forward to his therapy sessions in a way he never had before. Lisa's approach was completely different from anything he had experienced. Instead of just focusing on exercises and stretches, she spent time talking with him about his fears, his dreams, and the person he wanted to become again. During their third session together, Lisa did something unexpected. She shared her own story with him. 5 years ago, she had been in a serious skiing accident that left her with severe back injuries. For months, she couldn't walk without excruciating pain. The traditional treatments helped somewhat, but she felt like she was only getting halfway better. "The turning point came when I realized I was holding back," Lisa explained as they worked on some gentle stretches. "I was so afraid of getting hurt again that I wasn't allowing my body to fully heal. I was protecting myself, but that protection was actually keeping me trapped." Alex stopped mid-stretch and looked at her. "What do you mean?" Lisa sat down next to him on the exercise mat. "Think about it this way. When you're afraid of falling, you tense up every muscle in your body. But that tension actually makes you more likely to fall, not less. The same thing happens with healing. When we're scared of pain, we create barriers that prevent us from getting better." This made sense to Alex in a way that surprised him. He had noticed that on his bad days, when he was most worried about his pain, it actually seemed to hurt more. On the days when he was distracted or feeling good, he barely noticed the discomfort. "So how did you break through that?" Alex asked. Lisa smiled, but there was something serious in her eyes. "I had to learn to trust again. Trust my body, trust the healing process, and most importantly, trust other people to help me without judging me." She explained that her breakthrough came when she worked with a therapist who used what she called radical honesty techniques. Instead of the usual professional distance, this therapist created an environment of complete openness and trust. "It sounds strange, I know," Lisa continued, "but healing requires us to be completely open, emotionally and sometimes even physically. We have to let go of all the walls we've built to protect ourselves." Alex was fascinated but also a bit nervous. "What does that look like in practice?" "Well, that's something we'll explore together if you're willing," Lisa said. "But first you need to understand that real healing isn't just about fixing what's broken. It's about rediscovering who you are underneath all the fear and pain." In the following sessions, Lisa began introducing Alex to exercises that challenged not just his body, but his comfort zone. She had him close his eyes and focus on parts of his body that felt good, rather than the areas that hurt. She taught him breathing techniques that helped him relax muscles he didn't even realize were tense. One day, she brought in a mirror and asked him to look at himself while doing exercises. "Most people avoid looking at themselves after an injury," she explained. "But healing requires us to accept and love our bodies exactly as they are right now." At first, Alex felt uncomfortable. He had avoided mirrors for months, not wanting to see the way he moved differently now. But with Lisa's gentle encouragement, he began to see himself with more compassion. He noticed that while some things had changed, he was still fundamentally the same person. "Your body has been through something traumatic," Lisa said during one particularly emotional session. "But trauma doesn't have to define you. You get to choose how this story ends." She explained that in her experience, the deepest healing happened when people were willing to be completely vulnerable, not just with themselves, but with someone they trusted. There's something powerful about being truly seen and accepted, especially when we feel most broken. Alex found himself opening up to Lisa in ways he hadn't with anyone since the accident. He told her about the nightmares he still had about the crash. He admitted how lonely he felt, and how he worried that he would never feel confident or attractive again. Lisa listened to everything without judgment. She shared more of her own struggles, including the depression she had battled during her recovery and the relationship challenges she had faced. The hardest part for me was learning to trust that I was still worthy of love and connection, she said. I felt like my injuries made me less than whole. But I learned that vulnerability isn't a weakness. It's actually the birthplace of courage and healing. As the weeks went on, Alex noticed changes in himself that went beyond just physical improvement. He was sleeping better, feeling more optimistic, and even started reaching out to old friends again. But Lisa told him that the biggest breakthrough was still ahead. I want to try something with you that might feel uncomfortable at first, she said during their 8th session together. It's a technique that helped me more than anything else, but it requires complete trust between us. Alex felt nervous but curious. What kind of technique? It's about removing all the barriers, physical, emotional, and psychological, that prevent true healing, Lisa explained. It requires both of us to be completely open and vulnerable with each other. No walls, no protection, just pure trust and acceptance. She could see the uncertainty in his eyes. You don't have to decide right now, but I want you to think about it. Sometimes the healing we need most is on the other side of our biggest fears. That night, Alex couldn't stop thinking about what Lisa had said. Part of him was scared, but another part was excited by the possibility of finally breaking through to complete healing. For the first time since his accident, he felt like he was on the edge of something truly transformative. The day of the special session arrived, and Alex felt a mixture of nervousness and anticipation, unlike anything he had experienced since before his accident. He had spent the past week thinking about what Lisa had said about vulnerability and trust. Something deep inside him knew that this was exactly what he needed, even though he couldn't fully understand why. When Alex walked into the therapy room that Tuesday afternoon, it looked different than usual. The harsh fluorescent lights had been replaced with soft, warm lighting. Gentle music played in the background, and the space felt more like a comfortable living room than a clinical treatment facility. Lisa was already there, but she seemed different, too. There was a calmness about her, a sense of purpose that Alex had never seen before. She was wearing simple, comfortable clothes, and her whole demeanor radiated peace and confidence. "How are you feeling?" she asked, as Alex settled into his usual chair. "Nervous," Alex admitted honestly, "but also ready. I think I need this, whatever this is going to be." Lisa nodded with understanding. That's exactly the right attitude. Healing requires us to step into the unknown sometimes. Today is about showing you something that words alone can't teach. She explained that what they were about to do was based on ancient healing practices that recognize the connection between emotional wounds and physical pain. In our modern world, we've learned to hide behind walls, clothes, social expectations, professional boundaries. But sometimes to heal completely, we need to let all of that go. Alex listened carefully as Lisa described what would happen. She would demonstrate complete trust and vulnerability by removing all barriers between them, both literal and metaphorical. The goal wasn't anything physical or romantic, but rather to show him what it meant to be completely accepted and valued, just as he was. When someone is willing to be that open with you, it creates a space where your own walls can come down, Lisa explained. It's like a mirror. When you see complete acceptance, you learn to accept yourself. Alex felt his heart racing, but not from fear. For the first time in years, he felt like he was about to experience something truly profound. Lisa moved to the center of the room and began to speak quietly. "I want you to understand that what you're about to witness is about trust, healing, and the courage to be completely authentic. In many cultures, this kind of openness is considered sacred." She began to remove the barriers that society had taught them both to hide behind. First, she took off her shoes, explaining that grounding oneself to the earth was important for healing energy to flow. Then her jacket, talking about how each layer we remove allows us to be more honest about who we really are. "Every piece of clothing we wear is like armor," she said softly. "It protects us, but it also separates us from real connection." As she continued, Alex felt something shifting inside him. This wasn't about anything improper or uncomfortable. Instead, it was the most pure demonstration of trust and acceptance he had ever witnessed. Lisa was showing him that vulnerability wasn't something to be ashamed of. It was actually a form of strength. When she was completely natural, she moved slowly across the room toward where Alex was sitting. Her movements were graceful and purposeful, like a dancer performing a sacred ritual. There was nothing awkward or embarrassing about it. Instead, Alex felt like he was witnessing something beautiful and healing. "This is what complete acceptance looks like," Lisa said as she approached him. "No shame, no judgment, no fear. Just one human being trusting another completely." She climbed onto the therapy table next to where Alex was sitting, moving with the same grace and intention she had shown throughout the session. When she looked at him and smiled, Alex felt something break open inside his chest. Not with pain, but with relief. In that smile, he saw everything he had been searching for since his accident. He saw acceptance of his scars, his limitations, his fears and his hopes. He saw that he was still worthy of connection and love. Most importantly, he saw that healing was possible. "This is how I want you to see yourself," Lisa said gently, "not as someone who is broken or damaged, but as someone who is perfectly whole, exactly as you are right now." Alex felt tears streaming down his face, but they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of recognition. The recognition that he had been carrying shame and self-judgment that he didn't need to carry anymore. For several minutes, they sat together in that space of complete openness and trust. Lisa continued to talk softly about healing, about courage, and about the importance of seeing ourselves through eyes of love rather than criticism. "When we hide from each other, we hide from ourselves," she explained. "But when we allow ourselves to be completely seen and accepted, we remember who we really are underneath all our fears." Alex felt like he was seeing the world with new eyes. The pain in his leg, which had been his constant companion for 2 years, seemed to fade into the background. For the first time since his accident, he felt completely present in his body, not fighting against it, not ashamed of it, but grateful for it. "This is what healing looks like," Lisa said, her smile radiant with warmth and compassion. Not hiding, not protecting, but trusting and accepting and moving forward with courage. In that moment, Alex understood that his real healing journey was just beginning. But now he had something he hadn't possessed before, the knowledge that he was worthy of complete acceptance and love exactly as he was. The days following that transformative session felt like waking up from a long, difficult dream. Alex noticed changes in himself that went far beyond anything he had expected. When he woke up the next morning, the first thing he realized was that he had slept through the entire night without waking up once from pain. This hadn't happened since before his accident. As he got out of bed, Alex paused and really paid attention to how his body felt. The constant tension he had been carrying in his shoulders was gone. The sharp pain that usually shot through his leg when he first stood up was barely noticeable. But more than that, he felt different on the inside, lighter, more hopeful, like he had been carrying a heavy backpack for 2 years and had finally been able to set it down. At work that day, his colleagues noticed the change immediately. "You seem different," his friend Jake said during their lunch break. "More like your old self." Alex smiled. "I feel more like myself too. Actually, I feel better than my old self." That evening, Alex did something he hadn't done in months. He called his sister Rachel, who lived across the country. They had grown apart since his accident, partly because he had pushed everyone away during his darkest moments. "Alex?" Rachel's voice was filled with surprise when she answered the phone. "Is everything okay?" "Everything's more than okay," Alex said, and he could hear the happiness in his own voice. "I wanted to call and tell you about something amazing that happened to me." As he told Rachel about his experience with Lisa and the breakthrough he had experienced, he found himself able to put into words what had happened in a way that surprised him. The session had taught him that healing wasn't just about fixing what was broken. It was about remembering who he was underneath all the fear and shame he had been carrying. "You sound like a completely different person," Rachel said, and Alex could hear tears in her voice. "I've been so worried about you. I missed my brother." "I missed me too," Alex admitted. But I'm back now. Actually, I think I'm better than I was before. Over the following weeks, Alex continued his sessions with Lisa, but now they focused on integration, helping him understand what had happened and how to carry this new sense of wholeness into his daily life. Lisa explained that the moment of complete acceptance and vulnerability had allowed his nervous system to finally release the trauma it had been holding on to. Your body was stuck in a state of protection, she explained during one of their follow-up sessions. When you experience complete safety and acceptance, it finally felt safe enough to let go and heal. Alex was fascinated by the science behind what had happened to him. Lisa showed him research about how emotional trauma could manifest as physical pain, and how experiences of deep acceptance and trust could literally rewire the brain's response to stress and discomfort. What you experienced wasn't magic, Lisa said with a smile. It was your body's natural healing capacity finally being allowed to work the way it was designed to. But Lisa also helped Alex understand that the healing went deeper than just the physical changes. The experience had taught him something profound about self-acceptance and the power of authentic connection with others. For 2 years, you were hiding parts of yourself because you thought they made you less worthy of love, Lisa explained. But when you experience complete acceptance, even of the parts of yourself you thought were broken or damaged, you learned that you are lovable exactly as you are. This understanding began to transform every area of Alex's life. He started reaching out to old friends he had been avoiding. He began dating again, something he hadn't even considered since his accident. Most importantly, he developed a new relationship with his own body, one based on gratitude and acceptance rather than frustration and shame. At work, Alex found himself taking on new challenges and responsibilities. His confidence had returned, in a way that actually surpassed where he had been before his accident. He realized that going through such a difficult experience and coming out stronger on the other side had given him a resilience he had never possessed before. One evening, about 2 months after his breakthrough session, Alex was having dinner with his brother Tom. "I have to ask you something," Tom said, looking at him across the table. "What really happened with that therapist? Because you're like a completely different person." Alex thought about how to answer. The experience had been so personal and profound that he wasn't sure he could explain it in a way that would make sense to someone who hadn't lived through it. "She helped me remember who I really am," Alex said finally. "I had been so focused on what was wrong with me that I forgot about everything that was right with me. She showed me that I was worthy of love and acceptance exactly as I am, scars and all." Tom nodded slowly. "That's incredible. I mean, I can see the difference in you. You're more confident than you were even before the accident." Alex realized that Tom was right. The person he had become through this healing journey was actually stronger and more self-assured than the person he had been before his accident. The experience had taught him something that many people never learn, that true strength comes not from being perfect, but from accepting yourself completely, including your imperfections. That night, as Alex prepared for bed, he looked at himself in the bathroom mirror. For the first time in 2 years, he liked what he saw, not because anything about his physical appearance had changed dramatically, but because he was seeing himself through different eyes of compassion and acceptance rather than criticism and shame. He thought about Lisa and the gift she had given him. She had shown him that healing was possible, that he was worthy of love, and that vulnerability was not a weakness, but a pathway to strength. Tomorrow, he would begin the next chapter of his life as someone who truly understood what it meant to be whole.